Welcome everyone back to the Crimson 15 podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Sin. Be sure to follow us over on Twitter at C15 Podcast. Join the discussion over on Discord, link in the description below. And if you're enjoying the videos, be sure to like, sub, share, and hit that bell for notifications. So we're up to the final episode of Carmen Sandiego, the season finale. Only 9 episodes, kind of short for a season, but overall, I like this episode. It's not like an amazing season finale, but we did learn a lot of stuff. I was wrong. I had pre-assumptions about Coach Brahm, about how she was going to interact, but it finds out later on in the episode, she wasn't as, I thought she might have been kind of a good guy, like maybe disguising her intent, but we do find out later on, we learned some new stuff, which is cool. I was a little shocked, and I guess that's a good thing that a season finale will reveal some things. I thought it was kind of, I like there to be a little bit of clues, but there was absolutely no way you could figure this out until after you learn it. So we open up with what happened in the last episode where Vile found the Acme card and they hacked it and found Chase Deveneaux, and he's just an idiot still. He had a little tiny bit of coolness in this episode, but that comes a little bit later. So they came to the conclusion that, oh, Carmen Sandiego is working with this guy. And I can kind of see where they're coming from. Like they have a little flashback. So flashback mode. They're like, oh, he was there at this during this crime, and when Carmen stole this, this guy was on her tail, and they must be working together. I don't know why they didn't think that maybe he just wasn't a police officer going after her, which is the most logical explanation. But it's a thing I didn't bring up in the episode with the art that they stole. It's kind of weird that I don't remember her name, but the fashionista Vile lady, she was like kind of like hitting on Zach. It was like low key, but yeah, she was like totally into him. And she even kind of says it again, like, oh, he was so dashing and everything.
And to think I had suspected the charming Duke of being her inside man.
I'm assuming she's like, what, 40s? And he's, what, 19? Lady, you're such a perv. But I thought that was like a funny little low-key thing there. This being a children's cartoon, they're never going to explore that. But it really, if this was something a little bit probably for older audiences, that's something they would have done. I just thought that was really funny. So they were going to use Chase Deveneaux to get to Carmen, thinking, oh, they must be partners or at least working together. So like, oh, who do we send? Maelstrom wants to send Paper Star. And they're like, oh no, they're kind of arguing back and forth. And then Shadow Sun's like, screw that, I'm going to do this. I'm like, about damn time these people do something. Because all the other teachers, they all have like their little thing. But the only one who actually would have been like a real thief, like hands-on type of thief, would be Shadow Sun, because he's like ninja trained or whatever. So he's going to be like, oh, I'm going to finally, take out Carmen Sandiego, because earlier in the season, like when she was at the school, like he always treated her like crap. He always hated her and everything. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. He wants to like tie up all the loose ends. Then we get to Chase. He's being debriefed, I guess, after the total F up that he did in the last episode. And he's getting berated by the chiefs. Like, you're an idiot. You lost 2 cars. You don't ever accomplish anything. And then he's like wearing like this like cutesy little jacket. And she's like, you're going to join a K-pop group?
Can't call me artist. Can't call me idol. 아니면 다른 뭐라 해도 I don't care.
And he's like, oh, it was on sale. He's being goofy. And remember how I brought up, like, how come they're not wearing the G-Man, Men in Black outfits that the rest of the agents do? And they totally like bring it up. It's like, what the hell? Like, I say something and then it happens. But you see like a little picture of them in the suits and they look pretty cool. Like, it's a virtual tailor. Like, first I thought it like put the suits on them. I'm like, okay, that's ridiculous. But I guess it just like measured them for their suits. They're like, she's talking to Julia. Argent is her last name. So she's Agent Argent. I'm like, could they have picked 2 different words? They didn't sound almost exactly the same. It's like being police officer Blossofer. Like, come on, seriously, guys. She's like, oh, good, you found the Magna Carta or whatever. And then she even admits, well, I didn't do it on my own. I had help. She didn't reveal to the chief that it was Carmen Sandiego that returned it to her, which I thought was weird because she seems like a very straight-laced lady. And she would, especially like in police work, you can't withhold information like that. You'd be like, oh yeah, I got this. Carmen Sandiego dropped it off. But she kind of just alludes to the fact that it was Chase that helped her, even though that's like a lie. He storms out of this little, I guess it's the same parking garage they were in. Don't they have any real facilities? It's always like the broom closet at a freaking parking garage or like at a regular building. It's so weird. But Chase storms out and he's kind of being a jerk, and then for once, Julie like stands up for herself. Like, yeah, give this girl a round of applause for telling Chase, hey, dummy, we're partners. We're supposed to work together. And all you ever do is berate me and screw up. And she's like telling him all these things about Carmen and everything and how she left those for us. Why would she do that? She returned that stamp. She did all those things. She can't possibly working, being a bad guy, because why would she steal things just to give them to us? And then he still doesn't believe Vile exists, even though this agency, Acme, was invented to catch them. So he's like, oh, it's a fantasy and everything. I'm like, what? So this Acme agency exists that has all this advanced technology. They believe in something, and you're like laughing it off like it's a joke. It's so stupid. Like, Chase, you can't get any dumber. And then he's like jealous. Oh, you're the boss's favorite or whatever, the chief's favorite. I'm like, are you kidding me? So Julia kind of leaves off in a huff because, yeah, it's irritating to be working with someone because I think she does care about him. I would like that to happen, maybe a little bit of a relationship there, because she does care about him, but he's such a jerk and he bosses her around so much and he doesn't listen to anything she says. She should, just walk away from him because he's being a moron. We cut to I guess Carmen. Finally, we get to see Zach and Ivy again. They just were mysteriously disappeared for the last couple episodes. So they're on a beach just like relaxing and stuff. Ivy's building a sand castle, and I think this is the only time she says anything. She's like, oh, look, Vile headquarters. Like, she does like a little scary face. And I think she talks maybe one extra line at the end. They weren't involved. I wanted this to be a huge team effort for a season finale, but it just doesn't happen. Zach's surfing. He's an idiot. He falls over. And we get Carmen. She's sitting on the chair. She's like unable to relax. I feel bad for Carmen. She always feels like she's always on the job. She's always trying to figure out the next step, the next thing Vile's going to do. It's like she takes no time for herself. And that's another thing I would like to see in the next season. Carmen trying to maybe fit in a normal life here and there, because her whole life has been nonstop Vile. I thought it was interesting because I guess it's been 6 months. They did mention that. And they've kind of exhausted all the leads from that hard drive that she stole. So they're pretty much, after all this, they have nothing unless they're going to just go off of just like dark web stuff and everything. Even players like, hey, Carmen, you want to sneak back into the Isle of Vile and steal another one? But she's like, no, I'm never going back. She's like almost like afraid to go back. Then we cut back to the Vile headquarters, and Shadow-san's on his way to like basically go after Carmen. But then Coach Brom's like, oh, no, I'm going along with you. And this is when I thought, like, oh, she's going to, like, stop him and save Carmen. But, I guess I'm wrong. But she's like, oh, we can both go. I'm like, oh, wow, they're going to send 2 adults instead of... And this is the funny thing he mentions. Maelstrom's like, oh, we have a whole army of thieves. You have a whole army of thieves, but you use the same 4 for every caper this whole season? What, are you kidding me? But they all agree and vote on, okay, we'll send you with... Coach Brom and Shadow-san are going to go. I'm like, okay, they're sending 2 heavy hitters. This is one of the 2 times that Chase did something right. He's like in his apartment, and he's like yelling at himself in the mirror. And then he even admits it, you're a fool, and all you do is bully your partner. I'm like, yeah, but then right after he admits that, I'm like, okay, good. A little bit of self-realization that, hey, I am kind of a jerk to her, even though she's super nice to me. She's just trying to do her job. Then he turns around by saying, oh, she'll probably be running Acme one day, so I should be nice to her. You did it right the first time, Chase. Just being nice to someone because they're your boss is the wrong thing to do. Be nice to her because she's an actual nice person who obviously cares about you and doesn't want you to get hurt and wants you to be good at your job. But he's brushing his teeth or whatever, and then he gets all like, I don't know, all fuzzy because I guess the Vile spiked his toothpaste, like swapped it out, and it's like knockout toothpaste.
About extra strength tartar control.
That is the most silliest cartoon thing. Why didn't they just kick in the door and knock him out and drag him out? No, they set up knockout toothpaste. That's got to be in the next Bond movie. But we get back to Carmen, and she's like actually starting to relax a little bit. Like she even tells that to Player, but he's like, "Oh, hold your britches there, Missy." He didn't say that, but he should have. He's like, "Oh, there's someone. I've been poking around the dark web, and I saw that there's a message for you." And it's like, oh, if you want to see your partner Chase again, you need to come to these coordinates. And she's like, what, my partner? What the hell? But of course, Carmen's a good person. Even though Chase is literally trying to arrest her, she knows he's not a bad guy. She knows that he's not doing it out of like, oh, I got to get you. He's trying to, be a police officer, an inspector, or whatever she thinks he is. And of course, it's a trap.
It's a trap!
And they're going to use him for bait. We cut to Chase, and he's like tied to a chair and everything. And I'm thinking, okay, but this is a kid's cartoon, so they're not going to rough him up too bad.
Huh? Huh?
But it's Braum and Shadow Son, and then I'm like, oh man, they're gonna tear him up because they start interrogating him, like, oh, tell us everything you know about Carmen Sandiego, and he's like, what are you talking about? She's a bad person. You guys are bad guys. I thought you guys would be working together. And they think that he's being like he's hiding information. And I did like the fact that he did. I don't know how to say this because he's both a coward and he's brave at the same time. It's weird. He like shows his sword, Shadow Son does, so he gets a little like, oh no, don't hurt me. But then he's still not giving up the information, which is good because that's, he's not going to give up information about Acme or Carmen Sandiego because he knows these people are bad. He pull out this mind instructor thing. You need to put it on his head. And I guess it's supposed to like, I don't know. It's like a mechanical truth serum. Remember that little drone from like, was it the second episode? There's that little drone. So she's watching it from the window and it's super weird. They were planning to capture Carmen and do the interrogation. Why don't they do the interrogation first? Then set him up as bait. Like, why? Like, were they in a time crunch? Did they only have so many, their plane was going to leave in a couple hours? They should have done these two things separately. Get all the information they could out of him, then draw in Carmen, and so you don't lose any type of knowledge you can get. But whatever. They find out what room he's in and everything, and Carmen's like, okay, we're going to need to do, basically run a distraction. And this is the second time that Chase actually did something, I think, kind of brave. And he's being smart. He's like singing the French national anthem, and he's doing it so that whatever mind distractor thing doesn't work. So he's like trying to cloud his memory, which is cool, which is a brave thing to do. He didn't just give up the secrets, but it breaks him down and he starts giving up everything. And of course it makes you all loopy and weird. And even then he's like, oh, Acme wants to know everything about this thing that doesn't exist because he still doesn't believe in Vile. And he calls it Bile, which is really stupid. And before he gives up any more information, Carmen starts like tapping the window with the drone, and they see her like run off across the rooftops. Shadow Son's like, okay, I'm going to go after her. You stay here. But then Coach is like, no, wait a minute. I'm going after her too. If the bad guys worked together and did things right, things would be more successful for them. But they both want to go after Carmen. And then they do the same trick they did last time. They with the mansion. So it's Ivy. She runs off, and Zach too. They're both dressed up like Carmen, and they're both running away. So like to draw them away, so she can infiltrate. So they're chasing each other and everything. And then Coach finds Zach, doesn't know it's not her, so she leaves him there. Pretty sure she would have killed him or like, I don't know, knocked him out. I don't know if she did or not. It was weird. They didn't really show it. Because he was like on a pipe and then he like fell to the ground. I think she just left him there. Carmen goes to go save Chase. And then Chase is like, oh, you finally show yourself. And she's like, shut the hell up, dummy. I'm here to save you. Busts his cuffs. And then she's trying to talk to him and everything. Like, hey, you need to help me. You got to get you out of here because she's not going to be able to carry this guy. And another smart move, he like activates that pen that calls the chief or whatever. And the chief sees him all knocked out on the floor. She turns around and sees Carmen. And she's like, oh, you must be Carmen Sandiego. And then she, Carmen's like, holy crap, breaks the pen. But now the chief knows Carmen exists and what she looks like, which they can run facial recognition software and everything and find her. I keep wanting to call her boss, but chief calls, it's 4:28 in the morning, calls Julia, and she's like in her apartment or whatever. And it's like super late at night. She's like, oh, your partner's in trouble. And she's obviously concerned because she doesn't want him to get hurt. And she already called the police too. Something that they should have done like a million other times before. Carmen's trying to move Chase, but she can't because I guess he's a full-grown man, so he's a little bit heavy. But that's when you do your fireman's carry. Get him up over your shoulder. Like, she should have known that. But Coach Braum shows up, and, like, she's superhumanly strong. Like, stronger than any human being ever was. Like, she's able to bend the metal on the door. Like, okay, I wonder if she had, like, steroids or some type of, like, genetic modification, but she shouldn't be that damn strong. And she starts, oh, you left little lamb and all that kind of stuff. I'm thinking, oh, this is where she's going to save her. But no, she goes on and they have a little fight and she beats the hell out of her. I was super shocked that she was like hurting her so much. I thought, oh, maybe it's going to like, to play it up or anything. But no, she was going to basically kill her if she had the chance. It's cool to see Carmen get knocked around because she's always so good and it beats everyone. But she doesn't do much here. She kind of throws a lazy kick, rolls out of the way. She doesn't do any really good attacks. Like, I'm sure they would have taught her how to fight a stronger, bigger opponent. She tries to like use a wrench or whatever, which was one cool move that she did. I thought was actually really, really awesome. She's swinging at her with this wrench. And then with her other hand, she used like her taser to shock her. Great use of misdirection and distraction. That's one of the 5 Ds of self-defense is distract. And that was a great move for that. shocks the hell out of her. And Coach Brahm's able to like fight through the taser. And the taser went off for what, 5-6 seconds? No human being in the world can do a direct contact taser and like fight through it like that, especially for that long. That can actually cause like actual real muscle damage if you let it run that long. But she's able to like just break it and just, smacking her around and everything. And I'm at this part in the show, I'm like, damn, she's like got a couple bruises on her face, knocks her coat off and shows she loses all her gadgets. Carmen's trying to fight. She's like throws like a weak punch. She grabs it and then she gut punches her. And you can see it's like probably broke a couple freaking ribs because she's like hard to breathe. There's like a little sewer grate there, but it's locked up. So she can't get out. So I'm like, oh man, Coach has her dead to rights. She's freaking gonna stomp her. We cut back to Shadow-san because he was chasing after Ivy this whole time. So it's like, oh crap. The police are on their way. And I like how like Player, it sucks for him because he knows everything that's happening and he can't do anything about it. He knows the police are coming. So he's like, Carmen, just hey Red, just hold on for a few more minutes. The police are going to be there. At least something you won't die. You might get arrested or whatever, but I don't want you to die. Then Carmen's like asking her about, you were the one that saved me in Portugal. Is that where it was? And then she's like, oh, you don't need to be asking those questions or whatever. And she's like, oh, all the things we've done for you. It's like, oh, why don't you give Mama Bear one last hug? And she's going to like bear hug her and crush like the life out of her. Then Shadow-san shows up and like does the Vulcan neck pinch and like knocks her out. I'm like, oh, he must be the one that wants to get the kill. Like he wants to kill him. Like, damn, these guys are, it's really funny because I like how I got tricked, but I like it though. He pulls his sword and cuts it and all you hear is like the sound of the knife. And even Player's like, oh my God, she's dead. But then it cuts back and Carmen's fine. And he cut open that little sewer grate or air vent thing. He's like, here, follow me. Don't ask me any questions. She's like, well, what's happening? He's like, that's a question. Follow me. And of course they get out of there, but she's like, what the hell? For all intents and purposes, she thought the last person that would try to kill her would be Coach, but the last person to save her would have been Shadow-san, but they flipped it on you. The police are showing up. Brahm wakes up and notices everyone's gone. So she gets the hell out of there. She contacts the cleaners. She's like, oh, is Shadow-san with you? We don't hear the other side of the conversation. And then she's like, oh, okay, I'm going to need to pick up. Shadow-san helped Carmen escape. So they're like kind of like maybe 2-3 blocks away. And then this is where we get our info dump. It was Shadow-san that saved her when she was a child, not Coach.
Thank you.
How did I excuse you? May step out.
Okay.
Like, oh, that's interesting. Then she's like, whoa, if you were the one who saved me and everything, why did you treat me like garbage all the time? He was setting her up to fail because he didn't want her to become a criminal. He never wanted her to be bad. I'm like, oh, I didn't. He put up a hell of a poker face because it was literally impossible to tell. And then, of course, she asked him, the test. You were the best pickpocket. There was no dollar, so there was no way she could have passed. So he failed her on purpose, so she would never have to ever join the 30 Thieves or whatever. So there you go. She would have pickpocketed him because she's like the best in the world. Because it was so weird that she was so good at pickpocketing in all these episodes that she would have failed that test. But okay, we got our answer. And again, flashback again, We have, when he was chasing after her, he wanted to leave with her. And when I even brought this up in that first review, or when she escaped, I'm like, she must have disabled that helicopter. It was him that disabled it so she could get away. Because he wanted her to have a normal life. He's like, I wanted you to go and just be a young, grow up and have a normal person's life because I never would have thought you would have became, Carmen Sandiego became this person to try to take down Vile. He's like, it complicated things for me because I still wanted you to not to get hurt, not to be pursued. Which, I guess he kind of sees her as a daughter. I'm pretty sure now after this big reveal, he must have had a daughter who either died or something must have happened to her and he just saw his own child in Carmen, which I thought was really cool. And then that fatherly wanting to protect. I like all that. We get back to the cops show up and Julia's talking to the chief and the chief's like, yeah, Carmen Sandiego is, priority one because she's the one who did the chase. For all intents and purposes, all she saw was a knocked out Chase on the ground and Carmen standing in the room. And then Julia's like, she's just not getting it. But if the chief says so, what's she going to do? Yell at her? But Julia's not buying it because she knows Carmen's a good guy. We got Players talking to Carmen. He's like, whoa, what do you basically he's as freaked out as all the audience is. But she's like, what the hell? Did Shadow-san saved you? That doesn't make any damn sense. But he's like, she's like, he didn't tell me everything. He didn't tell me, because he asked, like, what the hell was he doing there when you were a baby? Like, what happened? Oh, and you know what I'm also thinking right now? I just thought of, what if he had like an assassin mission to kill some diplomat or whatever, and then there was a baby, and he's like, oh, I'm not gonna kill a baby. So that then he just took her. So I'm wondering if there was something like that, like he was doing something super evil, and then like he's still, even him wasn't gonna like kill a baby. So he left her another hard drive filled with a bunch of vile secrets. So that's gonna be our thing for season 2. So now they have all the information again, so they can do another like 20-30 capers or whatever. And the camera spins out, zooms out, and she's like, oh, looks like we're gonna have a lot more missions to do. And that's the end of season 1. Overall, I liked it. I would say it's passable. What do you say? A 5 is average. A 6 out of 10. It's just a little bit above average. A C- paper if I was like a teacher grading this. I want better. It's very passable. Didn't do too much to offend me. It didn't make me want to bash my head against the wall like She-Ra did. It didn't make me want to just destroy my computer like Star Trek Discovery does. But yeah, I could recommend this to younger kids, and even older kids can watch this and still get a little bit of enjoyment out of it, even though they could be able to pick up on all the stuff that they do wrong. But overall, I kind of liked it. We're going to do a full video about what I want to see in season 2. And that'll probably come out maybe in about 3 or 4 days. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I enjoyed making these reviews. I love reading the comments. I'm glad. I like being wrong. I like putting out theories and then finding out, hey, I was wrong about Coach Brahm and completely wrong about Shadow-san. But yeah, I definitely want. I'm glad I got a season 2 because there's more story to tell here, and they can always improve. There's always room for improvement. But thank you guys all for watching and commenting and sharing the videos. I love talking with you guys, just seeing you guys over in the chats. It's so much fun. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like, sub, share, hit that bell for notifications, join over our Discord server. There is a link in the description below, and I'll see you guys in season 2. Crimson Sin here. Thanks for watching the video. If you're enjoying the content, be sure to sub, like, share, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single upload. If you have any tips or story ideas, hit us up on Twitter at C15 Podcast, or better yet, join our Discord server, link in the description below.